Hello everybody, I am super excited today because my new special paints have arrived, and I didn't bother to leave it in the box. I thought, well, I'm going to be putting a picture on the thumbnail so you know what I've got anyway. So it is the Gansai Tambi from Kuretake, but it's their new granulating colours. Now I love pigments that split, and they're not going to be for everybody. There will be people who do not want their paints to be as unpredictable as I'm suspecting these are going to be, but I love working with pigment powders, you know, explosion powders from Pretty Gets Gritty, brushos, things like that, where you spritz the water on and the colours just burst and you get all the different pigments coming through. In a way, these are sort of, as a granulating watercolour, they're sort of like the opposite of the pigment powders, in that they start off as a flat colour and then they come apart, whereas when you really mix up your pigment powders, they sort of blend back into one colour. So I thought they would be really fun to try. Now I bought these, and I will put everything in the description box below. So if I mention another YouTuber, if I mention where I bought them from, I will put links in my description box underneath the video. If you're unsure where it usually sort of starts to give you a little description, if there should be an arrow, I think, and you click down. I'm not sure, it's different if you're on a computer as opposed to a tablet, as opposed to a phone, but it will be there somewhere, and you just have to sort of find it and you'll find the information linked. These I bought from Budley Crafts because I am based in the UK. I bought them I ordered them, I should say, just coming up to a week ago. And when I looked at that time, they were the only place I could get these from. They were also on eBay, but it was also through them. So it wasn't a different seller, it was Budley Crafts, but just with their eBay shop. So I'm not sure whether they have any left, whether anybody else will now be selling them. I know that if you're based in the United States, I think you probably got more access to them perhaps than we have, but I know they are very new, so they are going to be sort of a little bit sought after. So they are not the cheapest of their sets, I have to say, but I really enjoy the whole speciality paint thing. I'm not a watercolour artist, I am a crafter. I design stamps, I like to stamp and colour images, I like to create backgrounds. So for me, these sorts of paints are great, just great fun to play with. So let's get into them, shall we? Because I've got a few different types of papers, and I've got some pots to explain, and I'll explain that in a minute. Now it says on the box, so granulating colours, you get 5 colours plus 1 pan set. So this isn't a white paint at the end, it's an empty pan. It says water-based pigment and comes with 1 empty pan. So all self-explanatory. On the back it says the colours of these Gansai watercolours separate to create whimsical and dreamy effects. The degree of colour separation and blurring may vary depending on the type of paper used. You can enjoy greater changes in colour by dissolving the watercolours in lots of water and letting the colours separate on your palette before painting. And they come with these 5 colours. So you've got Aurora Red, Aurora Pink, Aurora Orange, Aurora Blue and Aurora Violet. Apply water brush with colour to activate. Gansai paints may exhibit cracking due to extreme dryness, however it doesn't affect their quality, and they might have little air bubbles. So I watched, there was a couple of videos already up on YouTube. I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce her name right, but I will link her video below. Diane Anon is a watercolour artist, and she got sent some from Kuretake, and she does a really good sort of demonstration of how they split and how she uses them, and she does a little project. There's a couple of others which I will also link. I think one was the Portland studio, and then there was somebody else. That at that point when I was checking, there was about 3 different people who'd shown them. So this is how they come. Now you're going to sort of look at them and think, well, they just all look like the same colour, but the point of these is, it's a bit like with the graphite type paints, they do just all look the same until you actually add the water. Now you can take your colour, put it on your paper, but the best way to get the bursting of the granulation is to actually dissolve some in a separate pot. So that is why you get this separate pan so that you can mix them in. But I know that Diane sort of had these some little dishes. She had little dipping dishes. I went to the charity shop yesterday and they had these 3 little dishes, and I thought they are perfect. So I think it was £1.99 for the 3. I do wish there'd been 5, so I could have had 5 colours, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. And so I've got my palette out with these 2 bigger wells, because I think the bigger the surface area you have to mix them more water with them, the more sort of splitting of the colours you're going to get. So I thought I'd try it in 2 ways. So I'm going to mix them up in the palette, in the palette and in the dishes. And then I'm going to leave them. I'll go away, make a cup of tea, and then I come back and we can have a look to see what they've done. But also I want to have a little go just taking them off and maybe just dabbing them into water. Now I've done a few bits of card here. I've got a mixture of sort of values and types. So this first one is Paper Boutique. Now this is not a very expensive card. I like it for doing my stamping and colouring onto. It's a hot press, so it's a little bit smoother. It's still got a little bit of texture, and it's from Paper Boutique, and it's a cellulose paper. So typically you can buy about 50 sheets of this for 50 A4 sheets of this for about £7 something. I'm really sorry that I can't convert into other currencies because I'm useless at things like that. So that's like my cheapest paper. I then have, now I only ever buy slightly more expensive papers if they're on offer, or just to try them out, because I don't do proper watercolour painting as such, so I don't sort of feel the need to have a really expensive paper. But I like to try it because I'm a bit nosy. I like to see what things do. So this is Bokenford. This is cold pressed 300 GSM. And again, this isn't cotton, this is cellulose. This is produced at a mill in the UK. And it's a nice paper. It's got quite a rough texture, and a lot rougher than the Paper Boutique. So you can definitely, I'm not sure if you can see the difference between the two there. And then I've got Archers. Now I bought this recently from Jackson's when they were having a sale, and I just literally wanted to see what it was like. And this is also cold pressed. This is 300 GSM and it's 100% cotton. So it'd be really interesting. They've all got very different textures, and it'd be interesting to see the different effects. Now I've also got some different watercolour paper in here. Now this is my journal I made. If you're interested, I have reset up my Etsy shop recently, and I'm making and selling these in my Etsy shop. I will link that down below. These ones that I've made that are roughly 7x5 have a mixture of papers in, but the paper that I have got in here that is watercolour, I have a mixture of sort of patterned papers and watercolour. This is the Cardi 150 GSM 100% cotton rag paper. So it's slightly different to your normal cotton paper. It acts in a different way, but I really love this paper. That's why I put it in the journals. And I thought it would be interesting, a bit of my mulberry paper's fallen off, to compare how this cotton paper acts compared to the Archers cotton paper with the granulating watercolours. So let's pop that in there. Now we'll put those back there, and we'll start by getting some of these out. Now what I'll do is, if I put it there, and then if I put the bowls vaguely near where I've got the colours from, then that should work, shouldn't it? So let's oops, sorry, that is really loud, isn't it? So we'll do the first 3 in these, and then we'll do the last 2 in there. So let me just check this is all where you can see. Now I'm going to use my quill brush. Oops, let's move those out of the way. So I'll put them there, and then I've got my water pot here, but I've also got my spritzer bottle. So I thought I'd just spritz a bit of water in to really dissolve them. And then let's just give them each a shake it to wake it, or a spritz it to wake it, and then I'll get some water on my brush. So this is the Aurora Red. So let's mix some of this into here. I don't know how much water will be required at the moment. That's looking sort of like a burgundy colour to me. Hopefully I'm not mixing up my... give that a little bit more in there. So Aurora Red. Let's rinse my brush. Right, the next one is Aurora Pink. Again, it's got a bit of a purpley tinge going on there. Now because they're all called Aurora, I'm going to sort of hazard a guess, and going by the packaging, to be totally honest, and what I've already seen other people do, they've sort of got a bit of a nebula galaxy type vibe going on. Already I can see that one is splitting. I don't want to put too much more water in there. I don't know. I don't know what they mean by, you know, a lot of water, so I'm erring on the side of caution here. Actually, when I'm looking in the actual pans, I can see where it's the splitting of the colour is coming up. All right, and then this third one is Aurora Orange. Now it looks orange in here, but I know when I've seen the other videos that it has got much very, oh, it looks brown. Spin that around a bit. Get a lot of that in there. I can see a green sort of tinge on there as well. Let's get a bit more in there. Let's give that another little bit there. Oh, my water's lovely and dirty already. Right, so this next one is Aurora Blue. We'll put this in the top one. I'm hoping that they will be obvious when I come back to them anyway. At the moment, see, like a few of them are looking fairly similar, but already I can see the splitting going on. So they're already starting to sort of granulate and split into their pigments here. Oh, I like that. Love these colours. Loving, oh, that one, really. Right, let's give that a, let's do that off the edge there. Squidge a bit of my paint out because I feel like I was like, let's move them that way a little bit so I can move that up slightly. This last one is Aurora Violet. Right, let's, and oh, I can see the violet. I'm not sure that you probably will be able to on the camera, but oh wow, yeah, that is definitely violet. That is certainly, I would say, the most vibrant so far out of the 5. That one is definitely splitting up into orange and green. We've got purple and, what was that? Was that the Aurora Pink? Well, like a pink and like a bluey, like a turquoisey colour in there. Oops, I hope I haven't just splattered everything everywhere. I think I just splattered a bit of violet in there, but never mind. Again, you get the lovely, with the big, with the Gansai Tambis, you get these lovely big pans to work with. And these are not like a traditional watercolour, the Gansai Tambis. They are based on a very different sort of watercolour. That's the 5 of them that have all been now mixed up. So I'm going to leave them. I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea. Might even do some cleaning. Maybe not. And I will come back in a bit and show you how much they have split, and then we'll test them out on the different sorts of papers. Okay, I think it's been probably about 20 to 30 minutes I've left these now, and you can see that they are splitting into their component pigments. So the Aurora Red is like a deep pink, I would have said, more than a red, and a green. And then we've got Aurora Pink is a pink and like a teal. And then we've got our orange, which is orange and green. We've got our blue, which is like a blue and an orange. And our violet is like a purple and a pink. So I've sort of laid out each of my bits of different watercolour papers. And I have split them up, and I have put 2 sections for each colour so that I can do from the pots that we've mixed, plus maybe if I put some water down and drop some colour in to see what happens when you go direct from the pan, because I feel it will be probably 2 different effects. So let's start with the cheapest paper, and I've got a smaller quill, and I'm going to start with some of the paint from in here, and let's just pop it on like, I feel like I want to, I'm sort of dripping it on a bit, like dropping it rather than spreading. I feel if I spread it, it will just mix the pigments up, but I'm not sure. So I can definitely see the granulation there. Let's mix that off of there. Let's put some water down the bottom here, let's take our Aurora Red and just take a bit more than that. I think I should have reactivated that, and just drop it in to the water and see what happens with that colour. Okay, so let's get some of our Aurora Pink. Now remember, this is the cheapest, and this is hot pressed, so I'm not sure if we will get different sorts of effects between the hot pressed and the cold pressed. That's part. Oops, no, I was meant to put some water down first, wasn't I? So let's put some more. I'm going to put more water down. I feel I was a bit unfair on that first one. It is splitting. And let's get some from there, and let's just drop some colour into that water to see if we get a different sort of effect. Right, so we've got the, I'm sort of mixing, I shouldn't really be mixing it, I'm just trying to grab a sort of a selection of the colour. And this is the thing with this sort of paint, it is going to be quite almost hit and miss about which parts of the colour you get, which is, I enjoy that, but if you're somebody who really wants to know what your colour is going to do, then this is possibly not the sort of paint for you. I feel it's, to be fair, when you're putting it on, it does feel like it's very much brown rather than orange, but as it dries, there is more of the orange starts to come through. Right, so we've got our Aurora Blue. Ooh, lots of orange in this by the looks of it. Ooh. They're very different. Actually, when you first start using them, you think, oh, these are just all going to be very much the same. But actually, if you let them settle and separate, you can see a difference between them easily. Lots of granulation going on in that Aurora Pink, actually. Right, so let's put some water on here. So this is, remember, this is our cheapest paper. Our most affordable, I should say. It sounds quite bad saying the cheapest. The most affordable of the watercolour papers. This is the hot press I use because it's easier for stamping with, which is often what I'm going to be doing. Right, and then finally we've got this one, which looks very bright in there. Ooh. Right, so now that orange definitely comes out more as it dries. It looks very muddy to start with, but it does separate out nicely into the, and if you think about it, when we say about creating mud with colours, orange and green would create brown, wouldn't they? Whoops, I've dipped into both of those, so that is not necessarily going to be absolutely accurate now, but it's starting to curl up a little bit, so the colours are sort of congregating. Right, so that's our hot press, so let's leave that. Whoops, that's going to be fun, isn't it, trying to find somewhere for that to now sit. Didn't think this one through. Put it there and hope for the best. Let's go with Walking-Foot. So that was a cellulose, so we'll go with another cellulose to see if there's a difference between the cold and the hot pressed with those. So let me just pop my other bits. Oh, finding a place for things. It's fun, isn't it? Right, so oops, let's do the same, otherwise it's a bit of an unfair comparison, isn't it? My worry is that by the time I get to the other ones, I'm not going to have much left in the pot, in the bowl, so I may have to like go off camera and redo them, because otherwise I feel like I'm being very unfair to the paints if I then sort of, they're not getting as much of a fair deal as the others. Having said that, that's still okay. There's still quite a lot there. The pink. Now, I think there's definitely, with the cold pressed, you're getting more of granulation straight away. I think maybe the texture in the card helps with that. Again, this gives you a very muddy sort of look. What I might do is I'll swatch these ones out And then what I will probably do is, whoops, I will speed up the other two slightly so that you don't have to watch me totally swatching out for lots of the same colours, which could be, you know, a little bit dull for you. Then again, you might like lots of just swatching out, I don't know. Right, let's finish this one, and then I might add a little bit more colour to the pots and leave it to settle, and then I will film the other ones and perhaps speed it up a little bit for you. So this is now the blue. So finally we've got the violet. You can tell I'm not a professional swatcher. I'm trying to get as much colour down, because I always feel with granulating paints that you do need you need a lot of water, and you do need a good amount of space. You know, they do need to be able to do their thing, and they can't do that in a tiny little sort of area. So that's the first two. I mean, they're not dry yet, but that's already sort of becoming a bit more orange in there. So I will go off, I will add some more paint, and then I will speed you through the next two, and then we can look at them all. Hello again. Okay, so you may have noticed that whilst I was waiting for my swatches to dry, I decided to sneak a little journal page in to show you me using the paints actually in a project, and I made this. This is another one of the journals that I have made myself. Again, in my Etsy shop you can get, there's a few of those little ones. This is a 6x4, but this is 150 GSM Cardi cotton rag paper, and so we did the background just with a few of the different colours, and then I actually painted in some of the stamping, and I also painted in the moth there. And even when you take it and you just you mix the colour and you just do it sort of almost as a flat colour, it still does separate out. So I'm not sure how much you can see on my camera, but there is, in the moth there, you can see the green and the orange on there, so it still separates out even if you don't sort of really do that granulating type of wash. Now the swatches I did, so I did the Paper Boutique. This is the hot pressed. I noticed that I actually of all the cards and paper that I've swatched on, I think I like the effect on this one the best, on the cheapest. Maybe it's because it's a smoother paper, it's giving it slightly different effect. It's slightly lighter as well, so if you want it a little bit lighter, then you might prefer that. So those are the two cellulose papers. All the papers it granulated nicely on. You do have to be aware that obviously if you dab in when there's not enough water, you will get these blotches, and if you got, like I had quite a lot of water in some areas, and you get this like tide mark almost. Now I like that, I think that's cool, but if you don't want that, then obviously you might want to try and do it in a different way. But you do tend to get that outlining, because obviously where the water is settling around the edge, it's concentrating a pigment there. So that was your Paper Boutique. This was the Bockingford. So this is a lot darker, I noticed actually, but whether that's, the trouble is I don't know how much is user error or how I've used it, if you're not an error, because there's no such thing as an error really, but it may be the way I've applied it is different. But down here there's less of the sort of mottling effect, I notice. But now this was the Arches. Now to be totally honest, this is the most expensive watercolour card that I did this on, and it is my least favourite. My least favourite. It's maybe because it is 100% cotton and it's good quality. It's really darkened up the colours, and I don't, it's still giving you that granulation, but it's not my favourite look, is what I'd say for them. So I probably wouldn't use it on this one myself, but it's a case of playing with your different cardstock, playing with different papers, playing with different amounts of water, and seeing what it is that you like. So if you look at, that's the Paper Boutique on the hot pressed, and then hot pressed cellulose, and that's on the cold pressed cotton, and they do give two totally different effects there. So it's about, you know, having a play around and what you like. And then this was on the Cardi cotton rag. I prefer it on here than I do on the Arches, because it's just a different sort of paper. I like how this one's turned out here. They're beautiful paints in terms of if you like paints that give you special effects. Like I said, at the time that I bought them, I could only find them one place, I'm pretty sure, but by now you probably might find them in other stores and online places. So do your own research, do your own like looking around for the best prices for you, especially for where you live. And I like them. Whether I think I would pay as much as they were normally for them, I don't know. I don't tend to do reviews to say whether I think things are worth the money or not. To me, it's worth what you want to spend on something, what pleasure you get out of it. And for me, they're a fun paint. I like fun paints. I like fun mediums. So for me, yeah, I like them. So thank you very much for joining me today. I will link other videos that I have found on these in my description box. I will link where I bought them from, but like I say, please do your own research for your area and for other stores that will gradually be getting these in as well. So I hope you enjoyed my video today, and until the next time, bye bye.